So if there are no questions about the platforms which we are using and what is needed, let's start with the first application which we will be covering in our course. That's the ForDesigner. And that basically is starting point for any graphic production or creation in the Avid. The one software which is not required, it's what is not covered during this course. It's called Morpho, just for you knowledge. Morpho is a small combination of both ForDesigner and the Maestro. It means that you are using one software to create the templates, then you switch the mode and you're using that to broadcast the playlist. But it's very limited, and as I mentioned before, during this course we'll not take care of that. ForDesigner, the GUI looks as you see on the slide. The main part of the window is the preview window. That's a local render engine. That is exactly the part which require NVIDIA board installed into the PC. Without the NVIDIA, you will not be able to see any graphics which you're creating. Of course, ForDesigner have also a mode to work directly with the render engine which is running on HDVG or DVG2U. In that case, you can work without the on the PC without the NVIDIA board, but you will need to make sure that you will have the SDI output from the HDVG board, from the HDVG machine on your desk. And in that case, it's also complicated to manipulate the graphics, because in that case we are limited just to dragging the primitives or any objects to the object window, where with the local preview we can just drag them directly to the preview, positioning them or rescale them on the monitor, which is easier, at least for the first phase of designing. The ForDesigner or TreeDesigner, as we also have those versions working on the market, well, you can create all your templates using just the primitives, object, and the features from this application. But you can also import the part of the graphics or templates from external application, which means that you can import it from Photoshop. Those files will be imported on this. Each layer will be imported as a separate object. So even if you have complex design, you can still divide them, add the animation to each part of it, or even change some of the graphic object to the text objects. In that case, the text which you designed in the Photoshop could be later changed from the Maestro 3D Play. The 3D objects. We'll go through the full list, but most common are 3D Max and Maya. Those are the software from which we can import the objects. And we can import whole geometry together with the animation. So it means that you don't need also to recreate the animation. If it's working fine in the 3D Max or Maya, will be working also fine in the ForDesigner. The next option are the image sequence. It means that for the ForDesigner or TreeDesigner, it's enough to create just the object like a rectangle, design what should be the size of it and the location, and as a texture use the image sequence. Yeah, so you don't need to import nothing, you don't need the special effects. You're just taking open the window with the browser to add the image sequence to the object, choose the first file from the image sequence, which could be exported from After Effects, and press button done. And the render engine will just recalculate it, and you have whole image sequence which will look like the clip or animation, depend how you create it. So no special steps for this. You are choosing it in the same way as you will be adding it a single image to the object. And there are also the clips. Render engine itself, even if we don't have the blend with the video engine, can play the clips. So we can do the same, create an object, add the texture, type clips, and just select the clips from the drive. As it will be played, we have full control on it. We can stop it, rewind, and play. Those functionality will be available in the Maestro and 3D Play. The main difference between the clips and the image sequence, because the visual effects could be the same, is that the clips we are buffering in the Avid. It means that there are no limits how long is the clip. As long as the bitrate will not kill the hard drive, we can play several hour clips in the ForDesigner in the loop, or just which will be showing the some of the show. With the image sequence, when we loading all of that to the memory, so we are limited with the parameters of the HDVG or the VG2U. And usually when the customers are trying to create the template with the image sequence, especially those really heavy, they can easily find the memory problems on the local render engine. So my advice for the workflow, if there is nothing special which is needed from image sequence, just use the clips. It's easier, we are handling them very good. We are playing them with or without the alpha, with audio embedded into them, no problems. And because we are buffering them, there are no limits about the length of the clip. The last option is the After Effects. I put it separately, as for that we have special plugin which can import whole production from After Effects directly to the ForDesigner. So also if the graphic team on the TV channel I used to work with the After Effects have issues or don't want to spend too much time in the new application, and that plugin is something good to present them. That's an extra paid license, but in that case they can create like 90% of their works in the After Effects and then just export it and have the real-time graphics ready for templates in the ForDesigner. What we are creating in the ForDesigner, the templates they called scene in the Avid world, and they are saved and stored on the file system. By the file system I mean the G drive. That's a common name for the shared drive in the Avid world. So that's a place, that's a folder or separate hard drive which is shared between all the elements of the workflow. So not only ForDesigner, not only controllers like Maestro or 3D Play, but also all the HDVG machines. Yes, that's a place from where they're taking the textures. So that is another hint. If you are working locally with the ForDesigner and you will use in your template some texture from the C or D drive, you will see that on the local render engine, as it have access to it. But as long as you will save that template and try to play it with the HDVG machine, you will notice that in the place when you should have the picture or the clip, you will see just white rectangle. So that's also something about which we need to remember, just to make it clear for the customers. Use the texture or any other type of media located just on the G drive. So at this moment we have just the scenes saved in the G drive. Then when that is ready, when we create all the needed information, depend of what we have in our workflow, we can open them with the Maestro, 3D Play, we can even import it to the Morpho, or use the custom controllers. That is something which customer can build by themselves. There is open API. And use them. I mean that if we'll design some lower third with few animation and the exports, then that is something which we can decide from the Maestro 3D Play at what moment execute each animation, what text should be changed, or what color should be on the background of that template. If the graphics team, the design team doesn't have access to the Maestro or 3D Play, but still would like to see if they create the animation in the proper way, if they didn't forget about the exports to all the needed parameters, with the ForDesigner, without any additional license, it's coming ForDesigner controller. That is something which is hide a bit. You need to find the folder where the ForDesigner is installed on the C drive to find it. But then it's giving you possibility to open each scene which was created with the ForDesigner. You will see there the name of the scene which you have. You can activate them on the render engine machine. The HDVG, it's enough to put the IP here. Then you will see the name of the exports and the name of the animations here. It means that you can create, you can basically test the scene if it was created correctly by the design team without interrupting the playout, which usually is using Maestro 3D Play all the time.